What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 6 of season 1 of Solo Leveling. We'll be going full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched this episode. We'll do a real quick recap so everybody's caught up. Very straightforward episode. This is the continuation of the last episode where Jinwoo and I think it's Jinho?
It's close, at least.
Were left for dead, basically, in the dungeon from the other guys who basically bring people in, let them die, and take all their stuff. They discuss that that's basically their plan. They're going to go in there after the boss kills them and get the monocrystals. If they can't, they're going to take at least the rich kid's armor and sell it because it looks expensive. They look also his dad up to see, who he's related to, because that could cause issues. And yeah, we are then transported to the dungeon where Jinwoo and the kid are still face to face with the boss. Jinwoo is kind of contemplating if he's going to be ready to fight this thing or not. He's fought rank E, rank D bosses, but he's never fought a rank C boss. So he's thinking about that, but also he's realizing that he's not feeling any kind of hesitation to fight it. He's not really intimidated by it. So he ends up trying to fight it. It has really hard like exoskeleton that it can't get through. He's looking for a weak spot with his dagger that has paralysis. And yeah, he gets hit. Did he level when he got his stamina back? Is that what happened there?
No, he had items from all this dailies.
Oh, he had. Okay, I missed that part apparently. Because I was like looking, I was like, where did he get his stamina back? But during the fight, he's like running out. He's getting fatigued, basically. He's got a meter. It's like down to 70%. He gets a burst of energy back, though. He uses a new ability, Dash, which he's able to fly across the whole dungeon, get up in the spider's face. He's able to stab it in the eye. Every time he's stabbing it, he's getting debuffs, paralysis, so it's working out, and drain. So he's doing big numbers. Yeah, he ends up defeating the spider boss. Jinho, blown away by what he saw here. First off, thought that he might be a false ranker. Apparently, there is a thing in this world where people who are high ranks pretend to be low ranks, and
Real life smurfing.
yeah. So he thinks that's what's going on, but then at the end he realizes he's just super powerful, and he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta carry my own weight. I'm gonna start making sure he's got water. I'm gonna start mining the monocrystals, all that stuff." Calling him boss. Yeah, dynamic has changed. Eventually, and we got like a bunch of other random things happening outside of the dungeon. They're all hinting towards things, but not really meaning a whole lot for me as the viewer. So I'm sure those will lead somewhere. But you guys watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about. Main things happening, though. The group comes back in. They realize that Jinho and Jinwoo are not dead. They're basically at the point where they're thinking they're going to have to kill them themselves. And they're trying to figure out how they killed the boss. They assume that the kid's fancy armor has some kind of ability that gave him the edge to be able to kill the boss. And they soon find out that it was definitely not him. When they attack them, they hit Jinwoo, who gets thrown. He gets a new objective, which is to basically kill them, all 6 of them. Very interesting how they attack them, and all of a sudden the system that he's in is like, okay, well, they're the enemy now. You got to take them out, otherwise his heart will stop.
Yep.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, kill them or die.
Yeah, so not only is he having to defend himself, he has to eliminate them, otherwise he'll die. So pretty easy thing to decide on. He ends up getting back up. They're like, oh, I hit him harder next time. He shouldn't be alive right now, because they're still under the impression he's a rank E. Guy gets comfy with him, puts his arm around him, doing the typical anime thing where they're trying to big bro him, and he ends up cutting his throat instantly. Kind of wild. We'll talk about it. And then he just kind of goes through each one of them, killing them as they barely can do anything to stop him. When it's down to the last guy of the group, he is definitely the tank of the group. He talks about how he's going to harden his skin, and that he's still under the impression that Jinwoo is low rank. He's just more powerful than he seems, but his rank's going to outrank him. He soon finds out that didn't mean anything, because Jinwoo grabs him by the face, slams him into the ground, and then tells him, which I appreciate that he committed to it, that you tried to kill me 3 times. Now you want mercy. This is from Korea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So it makes sense that it's so like revenge driven.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he's ready to kill them. That's not very
Coldly.
That's not very Japanese. Okay. Yeah, and then he finishes them off. He kills everybody. He completes his quest. Also worth mentioning, he leveled a bunch of times in this dungeon, so he's even more powerful than he was when he entered.
Yeah, they actually mention that he seems stronger after the boss fight, and it's because he leveled 3 times from it. So,
yeah, I mean, I've done that playing video games. Go into a dungeon, I level mid-dungeon, I'm like, oh shit, I'm more powerful than I was before. So that's what's going on with him. Yeah, so him and Jinho end up leaving. They talk to somebody who's evaluating what happened in this dungeon, how they lost people, and she's trying to speculate on how they survived, but the other people who were higher ranked didn't. And she equates that Jinwoo is he's weak and probably hid, and the kid with the armor
probably special properties.
and he saved the day. Yeah, and then Jinwoo's just kind of wandering off, kind of taking in what happened in that dungeon. And yeah, did I miss anything else? Any details?
I think the only thing that I may have interpreted differently was when he was calling him bro and boss and stuff like that. It wasn't out of like necessarily like, oh, he's stronger than me, but it was more of a like scared of him because he has this impression that he's someone who pretends to be lower and just kills people. So I think he's trying to kiss ass. So.
Yeah, I think both could be are the case because yeah, he just seemed like he was like trying to take care of him. So I assumed that there could be fear involved there for sure, but also he's like, this guy's just more powerful. So obviously I'm not. I got to do something here. So, yeah. So impressions.
It was fun. Not super surprising, other than like systematic stuff that happens in the show. But the result was pretty much how I expected to go down. I'm definitely having fun with the show, though. Power fantasy stuff isn't like my favorite thing, just because it basically he's coming off invincible at this point. So, which I hope to be proved wrong on to have a better enjoyment of the show going forward. But it's fun enough. Like I'm enjoying it. I like all the correlations to it with video games and stuff like that. It's fun in that regard. And then also just the way he handled all of the situations he had to deal with in this episode. He's very like cold and calculated when it comes to like the actual like combat part, which I like. Though you can tell he's kind of looking at it from a different perspective than people anyways, because he's got all this UI in front of him and stuff like that at this point. And so like he's definitely treating it like it's a game, though he realizes that Spider could have killed him if he would have been sloppy about it, and almost did die when he ran out of when he's fatigued. It's just interesting that where he came from, just like being just like this normal weaker dude, borderline annoying, to just being like confident now and like taller, stronger, and all this stuff. It's a funny transition to see. So, but yeah, I enjoyed watching him. The spider fight was okay, but I more so enjoyed watching him take out the shitty people that deserved it, and just how he was just so like cold and like calculated about it. So, for someone who was like just before that convincing themselves that it was okay to kill them, basically. So, but overall, yeah, it was fun. It wasn't very deep, so I don't have much more to say on that. I do think A1 is handling the animation pretty well. Though I did see, and I haven't read the manhwa, so I don't know the comparison, but I did see someone say they were kind of worried because like the biggest like strong point I guess of the manhwa is the art's like really nice, and they weren't sure that A1 was going to capture that feel the same way. So I don't know the comparison. I'd be curious people's opinions below if you have read it. Don't give story stuff, but like just the how did it transition over to the anime? Because like for me, it looks like a typical A1 anime to me. So I do think they're handling it a little better than they've handled other projects though. So yeah, it's fun.
One thing you're talking about with the power fantasy that he is coming off. I was worried like an episode or two ago when he was out performing everything he went up against that he might come off as invincible. I do assume that eventually he's going to be challenged by something that just outranks him. You know, he's like sitting here dabbling at like, you know, high level C range or whatever. He's beating C's easy. So, you know, you still have B, A, S, and we don't know how big of a jump it is between C to B, B to A. So I assume eventually after we, you know, keep being convinced that he is way more powerful than he even thinks he is, we will start seeing some kind of main challenge, some main story point. But I also think that we are going to get other people introduced to the story eventually who are either of the same situation as him, where they're able to level as well, or that they're part of the system, or they're high level to the point where they can dabble on his level because they're just gifted. They're S's, they're A's, or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if there's an S, but you know, somebody who's just like so high ranked that they can dabble with him until eventually he can overpass them. Like a lot of animes do it in different ways, but I do think that's going to come up. I feel like there's going to be, now that we've seen him murder other people, like it wasn't even like a demon slayer. Well, in Demon Slayer he's killing demons, but like it's not even like a fight where you defeat the guy then you show him mercy. It's like he just murdered these dudes and the system told him he had to do it.
Sure.
Which I'll talk about in a sec, but my thoughts on it. But because we've seen that and the show's not afraid to murder other people, I could see rival hunters as well that he might have to fight against later that are high level, which would turn this into, you know, your typical anime where there's different villains that show up that he's got to overcome. So, and because he can level, he would be able to do that. So I don't know if that's true or not. I just feel like that's definitely something that could happen to get rid of this power fantasy that is fun to watch. But at this point, I'm convinced that he is powerful now. And so we got to get the ball rolling on where the story will go, basically. So yeah, when it comes to the episode, it was very interesting to see it resolve the way it did with him killing those people. I'm not necessarily surprised that he would do that, but I'm surprised that the story let him do that. That's why I said, you know, earlier, like it's Korean, right? Because like a lot of Korean movies is, you know, a lot of revenge, a lot of like, you know, someone wrongs you enough, it's justified to get revenge. And in a lot of like Japanese stuff, obviously there's plenty of killing in Japanese stuff, but like you see a lot of times this idea of like being the bigger man, showing mercy, and that'll drive your enemy crazy or whatever. And in this, like, yeah, he just murdered them off, and I'm like, it's pretty crazy that the main character is just like, I know they're like the bad dudes, but like you just don't see that very often. So that was cool, interesting. Kind of gave a bit of a tone to, you know, what could happen in the future, for sure. The boss fight was pretty cool, but I honestly think is not as interesting as some of the other fights that have happened in the show. Even when he fought like the wolves and the snake boss,
The snake was way cool.
I thought it was a much better fight. This more so just kind of seemed like it was introducing us to his abilities, that he has a fatigue system, that he has debuffs.
You can instantly use items.
Yeah, it was just kind of giving us a lot of like insight on, you know, the system more so. And but the boss itself was pretty basic. And was only fighting him. Obviously, Jinho just could hang out, nothing happened to him, which is fine, but, you know, not a very deep fight. So
we also got to witness, like, people hearing his rank and seeing his ability, and like, getting that disparity between the two. So
yeah. And then, yeah, it was satisfying to watch him take those dudes out, because kind of what I alluded to earlier, you don't really get that satisfaction, if you can call it that, in a lot of things where somebody wrongs somebody and they get like brutally taken care of. Because obviously those guys were shitty, not even just for this scenario, but like that they've done this in the past. They've just they victimize people, they kill people basically. Not whether they don't do it with their own hands. They even said at one point, "Have you ever killed a human?" But they, you know, have trapped people before to let them die, and so. They're living in a world where, you know, they're willing to do that, and so they have to expect, like Jin Woo said, you know, becoming basically the prey. Like if you're willing to do this kind of stuff, somebody might come at you, and he did. So they're outranked. So yeah, overall, straightforward episode, satisfying to watch.
Definitely.
Definitely need the story to start moving in a direction that we start building on it. Otherwise, it is a fun show to watch so far, but I want something to chew on a little more than that he's more powerful, more powerful, more powerful. Yeah, it's cool though. Definitely look forward to the next episode. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, let us know in the comments what stood out to you in this episode. What were some of your favorite parts? Is there something you didn't like? How are you feeling about the show so far? Unless you know where it goes, no spoilers, please. Are you looking forward to the next episode? And yeah, let me know all your thoughts when it comes to solo leveling. I've been Seth, this has been Chevy. Until the next episode, we'll talk to you guys later.